Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Discool, I'm a top 500 LUCIO main, and today I'm going to talk about how to use Boop. Soundwave, or as the community calls it, Boop, is LUCIO's secondary fire, and is bound to right mouse button by default. It's a short range AoE ability, firing a wave that propels enemies away from LUCIO. It has a range of 8 meters and does 25 damage on contact, and has a 4-second cooldown. It also doesn't use your sonic amplifier ammo, so you should be using it often. Now, Boop is often very confusing for a lot of people, where it seems to do a ton of knockback in one situation but do nothing in the next. So before I get into how to use Boop, I'm going to explain how it functions. Thanks to a combination of my own research and some myth busting by Game Jam and over on his channel, I was able to figure out exactly how Soundwave works. So to start, let's clear up some myths. Boop's maximum range is 8 meters. Soundwave projects about 120 degrees in front of LUCIO, giving it a very forgiving hitbox for the user and not so much for the one getting booped. Getting closer to your enemy doesn't knock them farther away than if you were standing in max range, and no, getting up to high speed doesn't knock them farther. When tested at a standstill, not all characters fly the same distance from Boop, but on DPS and healers, it's the same. If your enemy is moving away from you when you boop them, they'll go much further, and if they're moving towards you, the knockback will be much lesser. It's also important to take into consideration what angle you're aiming your gun when you want to boop your enemy. If you look directly at them, the boop will send them more horizontally than vertically. However, if you're looking up at them, then the boop will send them much higher vertically than it will horizontally. The angle you should choose to boop them at depends on the situation, and I'll be going over them later in the video. Just know that if you boop them higher into the air, they'll land later, but have more control of their character, making it inefficient for environmental kills. If you boop them straight forwards, they'll have less horizontal control, but land earlier. Personally, I like to angle my boop slightly upwards towards an enemy. It helps set up for combos, which is a great segue to the next part of this video. Boop is an excellent combo tool, not just for yourself, but your teammates as well. Booping an enemy will make them easier to hit as their movement will be much more predictable while suspended in the air. When going for a kill or some major damage on a player, boop them, and as they're falling down, fire a volley into them. This is highly effective for bursting down squishies, and the knockback might leave them displaced enough for your team to be able to follow up. This is especially effective if they're pushed up against a wall or a corner, because the range of movement is limited when pinned down. Pinned against a corner, LUCIO has the best chances of executing his basic 3-step combo that has the potential to seriously hurt a 200 HP squishy. Boop, shoot, then melee. The boop will do 25 damage, each projectile of your gun's volley will do 20 damage or 40 on headshot, and the melee will do 30. Landing all of these hits will instantly do 135 damage, and landing headshots will do even more damage, even allowing you to one-shot a hero if you connect them all. Now that you know the basic combo, I'll go over how to use Boop in certain scenarios and how to use them against certain heroes. Boops can be used in a variety of situations, and of course it's fun to go for cheesy environmental kills, but its main purpose is to act as a peeling and zoning tool to protect yourself and your teammates. Let's start with using Boop for protecting your tanks and using it against enemy tanks. Remember, your tanks will try to protect your team as much as you can protect them, so peeling for your tanks is one of the best ways you can use your Boop. If your team's tanks are taking too much damage and the enemy tanks capitalize on it by moving forward, Boop can be used to buy your team some extra time. Enemy dive tanks such as Winston, Wrecking Ball, and Diva can be a huge threat to your team if they perform a successful dive, so it's important to get good boops on them too. Most dive tanks and DPS will most likely be after 200 HP heroes on your team, or as the community calls them, squishies. These include your typical healers, minus Brigida, and most DPS, excluding Mei, Doomfist, and Reaper. If Winston jumps in and doesn't use his bubble immediately, boop him away. If he uses bubble, wait for him to leave it, or run into it for only a second to push him away. You can even wait for his cooldown and boop him to try to mess up his jump when he tries to jump out of your team. Likewise, if Wrecking Ball tries to roll into your team, push him away. Diva, as well, can be knocked out of her effective firing range with boop, since her primary fire range is very short. You can boop her directly upwards to disorient her if she's using Defense Matrix, allowing you to set up ultimate combos like Graviton Surge that would normally be blocked. And her ultimate can't be booped if she personally uses it, but if she gets demeched by your teammates and you think she's gonna panic ult, you can still boop her while she's in her demeching animation to push the bomb to an area where it won't hurt anybody. If your Reinhardt has Shatter, you can boop the enemy Rein upwards to get a free Shatter on everybody behind him. And lastly, if Roadhog hooks one of your teammates, make sure to boop him so he can't do his one-shot combo. Since Roadhog's such a short-range hero with such little mobility, Roadhog can't do much work without effective hooks. And that's about it for the tanks. Use your boop to help your tank stabilize and gain space on the enemy, as well as preventing enemy tanks from taking space. Now, onto the damage heroes. Boop can completely prevent DPS from being able to do their job. In this clip here, I know the Reaper in the other team has his Death Blossom and is going to try to position himself in the middle of my team to use it. Reacting accordingly, I boop the Reaper far away from my team. After he finishes using it, I know that he's going to try to push hard into my team because of the sound barrier that the enemy Lucio just used. Once again, I position myself to deny the Reaper the chance to do anything. In this clip, I zone the Reaper to let my team take a much easier fight. So as you've noticed, most DPS have to get closer to effectively kill others, so don't let them come near. If you can discourage a DPS from advancing on your team, you'll be wasting the precious time they need. This is called zoning. Since most DPS heroes have 200 HP, the Lucio combo mentioned before works very well on most of them. If you find a DPS out of position, vulnerable, or overextending, you can boop him, shoot him, and get help from your team to finish him off. So remember, pay attention to where DPS move and boop them away reactively. It might just win you games. Just like dive tanks, DPS will also really want to dive and kill your squishies. If they're not shooting at the tanks or the shields to try and gain their team space, they're most likely shooting at you, your main healer, or your other DPS. If you suspect that someone is going to get dived or focused, once again, stand near them and react accordingly. If Doomfist comes in, you can nullify his seismic slam by booping him before he hits the ground. And if he tries to use his abilities on your teammates, try and boop him around. If an enemy McCree flashbangs a teammate, boop him away to throw off his aim. If Genji is using his ultimate, wait until after he uses his dash to boop him away from your team. He won't be able to kill anybody as a result and won't get any dash resets. You can just use boop on Tracer when she comes in to throw off her aim. If you suspect she has pulse bomb, boop her away so she'll miss it. These examples also apply to defending yourself. Lucio, among others, has very high survivability, one of the best in the game, and learning how to use it efficiently will increase your survivability by tenfold. I could go over examples all day, but you get the basic idea. In the end, you'll find that using boop defensively is the most effective way to use it, protecting yourself and your team from getting focused down. It can be used to disorient an enemy and zone them from pushing in. It's so effective that you can pretty much just zone an entire enemy team by standing on the bridge in Lijiang Tower and not doing anything. They'll probably be so scared of getting booped off the map that they'll probably just push on the other side instead. And that's all I have to say about boop. Thanks for watching.